Tommy Morrison might just be one of the most underrated boxers of all time. In his prime, Morrison was a heavyweight who few could keep up with. He was most known for his devastating power in both hands, as well as his iconic left hook, which could literally turn the lights off any man who stood in front of the American. In fact, he was so devastating that many fighters would have rather taken on Iron Mike Tyson than the Duke. In this video, we'll take a look at some of Morrison's most insane highlights. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll have a completely different understanding of the word power. Tommy Morrison took on Tony Dewar in his second professional bout, and it didn't take him long to pull the trigger and find the knockout. Early in the bout, Tommy landed his devastating left hook, which sent Dewar flying to the canvas in an instant. Dewar was unable to get to his feet, and the bout was quickly called off. The fight showed that Morrison's power was genetic and instinctual. He didn't need years of training to develop knockout power. All he needed was to get in the ring and prove just how devastating he was, even as early as his second fight. Himuel Odom stood no chance against Morrison. The gap in skill and power were apparent as soon as the opening bell sounded, and it didn't take Tommy long to find an opening and send his opponent down. In round 2, Morrison threw a quick and snappy left hook which landed flush on Odom's temple. The sheer force of the shot sent Odom to the canvas. Luckily, he was able to get up, but he didn't survive for much longer. In the very next round, Morrison landed 2 left hooks in quick succession. Odom was able to stay on his feet until the third hook landed and put him on his knees yet again. The fight was stopped just seconds later as Morrison landed a stunning right-hand left hook combination. Tucker was a massive underdog going into his fight with Tommy Morrison, and for good reason. He was outclassed the moment the first bell chimed, could barely keep up with the American superstar. In the second round, Tommy landed his signature left hook, which hit Tucker like a shotgun and sent him flying to the canvas. He was able to get back to his feet, but literally seconds later, Tommy landed the exact same shot on the chin of his opponent. Tucker fell to the canvas, lifeless, and the fight was rightly called off. The commentator then summed up Morrison's fighting style perfectly. It's simple. If he hits you with the left hook, you're going. Most heavyweights are going to go. Joe Hip was able to survive much longer against Tommy Morrison and was actually dominating the majority of the fight. However, everything changed in round 5 when Tommy landed a devastating right uppercut on the chin of Joe Hip, a shot that Mike Tyson would be proud of. Just moments later, Morrison proceeded to smash a straight right hand through the guard of Joe Hip, who was sent to the canvas immediately. He was able to get back to his feet and made it back to his corner. But in round 9, Hip suffered another devastating onslaught. With 30 seconds to go in the round, Morrison landed a huge right hand and followed it up with hooks, sending Joe Hip to the deck once again. This time, Hip was unable to recover, and Morrison's immense power reigned supreme once again. This fight showed a few things. Firstly, it proved that Morrison could be outboxed. For the majority of the fight, Hip was dominating and stole every round on the scorecards. However, this KO also showed that Morrison had heart and the endurance and power to pull something out of nothing towards the end of the fight. Marshall Tillman couldn't even make it out of the first round against Tommy Morrison. In the second half of the round, Morrison landed his iconic left hook, this time to the body. This crumpled the liver of Tillman, putting him on his knees due to the sheer pain of the shot. He was able to recover in time but didn't survive much longer. With less than a minute to go in the round, Morrison landed yet another left hook to the body of Tillman, who proceeded to roll around the floor in pain. The fight was accordingly waved off, making for an early night's work for the American. Tommy's first round KO over Tillman showed that he wasn't one-dimensional and could switch up his shots to get any kind of opponent out of there. Big George Foreman was one of the only men to step into the ring with Morrison and not get knocked out. However, despite not getting the finish, Morrison showed that there were levels to his game in this fight, and it was one of the biggest wins of his career. Throughout the bout, Morrison became the boxer, using slick movement to land stiff jabs, straights, and body hooks on Foreman, whilst evading the power shots thrown by George. George was simply unable to keep up with the speed, movement, and output displayed by Morrison, leading to a lopsided unanimous decision win. This fight is worthy of mention because it allowed Morrison to do one thing: prove the doubters wrong. Morrison had previously been criticized for having a poor jab and virtually no defense or punch variety. But in this bout, he proved his jab, used slick defense to stay out of danger, and threw a variety of punches and combinations, proving he could box as well as punch. Tommy Morrison's last professional bout took place in Lyon against Matt Weichar, and to say that he went out with a bang is an understatement. It took the American just 3 rounds to close the show and did so in stunning fashion. Morrison landed 2 fully extended right hands directly on the chin of Weichar. After seeing that Matt was completely defenseless and out on his feet, the referee called a stop to the bout. The fight showed that even towards the tail end of his career, Morrison had the power to knock out any man in his prime and should always be feared as an opponent. Ultimately, it is clear to see why so many people would have rather taken on Mike Tyson than Tommy Morrison in his prime. This guy was a completely lethal fighter with more power than virtually anyone who has stepped into the ring. The boxing world was robbed by his early death in 2013, but his legacy will never be tainted by his early passing. His record and accomplishments both in and out of the ring will stand the test of time, and he will forever be known as one of the most devastating men to ever lace up a pair of gloves. We hope you enjoyed today's video. Before you go, be sure to jab that like button and give the bell icon a left hook to stay informed, and we'll see you in the next video.